welcome back to my channel. My name is Araceli, aka Chelly, and today on Chelly's Mental Wealth, our topic's going to be high functioning depression, aka persistent depressive disorder, also known as Dysthymic Disorder. I hope I pronounced that right. If not, I'm going to put it up on the screen for you guys. And I will be explaining why there's so many names to this specific disorder diagnosis, according to my handy dandy notebook right here, my abnormal psychology book that I always use as a reference when I took this class. So yes, what is this video going to be about? Yes, it's going to be about high functioning depression, but what exactly am I going to be talking about specifically in regards to this diagnosis? I'm going to be explaining the symptoms, the behaviors that an adult will go through or experience, as well as what a child or a teen or a little kid might be going through if they have high functioning depressive disorder. So I really want you guys to understand the difference, and that's why I'm going to explain the difference so you guys can see it within your kids. I also do want to do a disclaimer, you guys. Please do not self-diagnose. Don't. When I took my class, my teacher always repeatedly told us, do not self-diagnose. This video should be a guidance, an insight, education, a crash course if you're taking up normal psychology class and you just want to like freshen up on things, but not to self-diagnose. I really encourage you guys to seek professional help, to go talk to a therapist if you really think that you might be suffering with these symptoms and behaviors and you want some help. So because you might need it, you may not, who knows, but don't self-diagnose, okay you guys? Now that that's out of the way, what I'm going to be talking about in regards to high functioning depression is, like I said, behaviors and symptoms, right? I'm also going to be talking about what could possibly cause high functioning depression, and there's a few factors as to why someone could be dealing with high functioning depression. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to be talking about 3 interventions and coping skills that I've seen that's worked with reducing high functioning depression within me, and also within what I've seen within my clients and me working within the field as a community wellness specialist, okay? Because that's what I specialize in, you guys. I specialize in coping skills and interventions. I practice one-on-one with, you know, my person, and I try to practice with them. I'm trying to teach them how they can implement that in their everyday life so that they can take control of their symptoms and behaviors and reduce and finally not feel depressed for X, Y, and Z, okay? So I really encourage you guys to please watch the video all the way to the end, because I want you guys to vote. I really want you guys to let me know, whichever gets the most votes, please comment down below and let me know which intervention sounds the most appealing to you, because I'm gonna make a separate video for that specific intervention and show you step by step and model for you guys. I have this idea as to how I'm gonna do this video, so stay tuned for that. So now for real, let's get this started. What are the symptoms, what are the behaviors that someone could possibly be going through if they have high functioning depression? Number 1, irritability. Irritability is, you're just always in a bad mood. You're just always in a bad mood. Everything just irritates you. And then one minute you could be happy, but then boom, like anything irritates you. That's a really, really big sign. I mean, you're like that all the time. Like, I mean, if someone tells you you're moody all the time, but a lot of factors have to come into play, not just if you're just irritable, okay? A lot of things have to get into play in order for you to actually get this diagnosed to you by a professional. So keep this in mind, irritability. Number 2, I don't want to use my finger, sorry about that. Number 2 is you don't get any sleep because your mind is running. Your mind is running. You're not getting any sleep, or you're sleeping too much. Either or, it just depends on the person. Another symptom could be isolation. Yes, you're doing your stuff. Yes, you're doing this stuff around the house. You're getting stuff at work, but you ain't hanging around with no one. Like, you're not hanging out with your friends. You're not hanging out with your family members. You are isolating yourself, but you're getting stuff done. So that's a really, really big sign as well. Okay, you guys. Another sign is poor appetite. Over here, I've noticed that through my process, I didn't eat because I just kept myself busy, right? I'm keeping myself busy. So I didn't schedule enough time to eat, and that is not going to help with my health overall. So it makes it worse in order for me to overcome my symptoms and behaviors. So poor appetite is a huge sign, or possibly overeating, eating too much could also be a sign. Another one, which kind of falls into feeling tired. You're very fatigued, you're tired, yawning all the time, but you're still running. You're still doing things. Yes, you're tired, but you're going. You're going. You also have very, very, very low self-esteem. You're super hard on yourself for everything. Everything. So you have to really keep in mind that when you're really hard on yourself, that's another symptom. So and that's correlates to having really low self-esteem. Okay. Another one is hopelessness. Hopelessness pretty much goes hand in hand. When you feel depressed, you feel like, what's the point? You know, you have no hope in life. You have no hope that things are going to work out. You have no hope that things will get better. You feel very hopelessness towards everything that comes your way. You are used to doing certain things or loving certain things, and then all of a sudden you could give two balonies about, and it's like not you. Especially too if you start to see your personality change. What if you've always been a happy dandy person, right? And you're just like, oh, you're always like giddy and happy, and then all of a sudden you're just like super like bitchy or defensive, confrontational, all that stuff. Like you're like that 24/7. There's a possibility that you are dealing with some type of depression, but it's coming out through aggression. And that kind of falls into the symptoms and behaviors with your children and teens and kids, little kids. What I've seen in my experience within the field is a lot of aggression. Because yes, there's kids that go to school and all that stuff. They struggle with doing homework, but they're chugging, you know, they're chugging. But sometimes it comes off most of the time it comes off very, very aggressive, especially within boys. Very aggressive behavior is just kind of like defiant behavior, which means they just don't want to follow directions. A lot of the times you see loss of interest as well. They don't want to do certain things that they used to do all the time. What I've noticed is that, and I don't know if this is an issue, is like a lot of kids are really into Fortnite. I know I did a video of how video games can affect a child and teens, and I'm actually going to dedicate a video as to how I've been implementing interventions and coping skills within the home settings, how I've been helping families in a way where they can reduce the video games, because it's causing a lot of aggression within kids, especially within boys. They are super addicted to it, and if you take that thing away from them, they get very, very angry. And I've seen this multiple times. I've seen this happen to my son during the summer. We've gone through our ups and downs, but it causes a lot of aggression. So that's the biggest thing that you will see within kids is it's aggression. That's why sometimes we may not think that a child might be depressed because they're not showing the typical signs where you're like always just low of energy, not wanting to get up, not wanting to do anything. It's not as common. I mean, it's common, but I'm saying it's easy to see and to distinguish versus someone that's functioning through life and doing their routines, but they are experiencing these other external behaviors and symptoms that's making their life and their routines a little harder to obtain and to be more consistent and just be happier in a sense. So aggression is the biggest thing. They do specify that in order for you to get diagnosed with persistent depressive disorder, which is high functioning depression, for adults, you have to be dealing with this for about 2 years or more. For a child, it's only a year. So they're probably aggressive and very confrontational, violent, but in reality, they might be dealing with depressive symptoms. They might be dealing with a lot of internal things that they don't know how to express, so it's coming out in a very aggressive way. So if I can kind of explain to you guys, it's more of a a lot of the times we think like, oh, we're sad, or I've been, I'm actually really like been diagnosed that I've been depressed, and we think that it's crying, we think that it's just laying in bed, and it's not like that anymore. It's not. Coming from my experience, that I know that that's what I've been going through, because I've been functioning. But yeah, I have my super low. Some of you guys know about my panic attack. It was very horrible. It was yeah, it was horrible. I really thought that I was gonna have a seizure. I felt like a seizure, and it sucked because no one was in the restroom with me, so no one could really tell me, was it a seizure, was it a panic attack? So this whole time I was like, do I have a seizure? I didn't want to go to the doctors because my whole life my mom was like, go to the doctors, go to the doctors. So I'm like, I don't want to go to the doctors anymore. So yeah, that's a huge sign, you guys, like panic attacks, because it's like if you're suppressing your depression and you're like, you know, you're running 100 miles per hour, but yet you're not taking care of like why you're feeling depressed, and then you're basically running on empty, and you're gonna have a panic attack like me because your body's shutting down. And I realized, I connected the two. I was like, my body is going at 100 miles per hour, and then I'm not eating, and then I'm anxious because I'm trying to meet deadlines at work. I'm loving it, but I'm like I love it too much, but I'm not like putting that same energy back to me. And you know, I'm learning to find a balance, but at the same time I thought to myself, I'm like, okay, I know what's wrong and I need to fix this in order for me to feel like I'm running 100 miles per hour. So that's my thing, you know, like I know that my environment is what's causing me to feel this way, so I'm trying to fix my environment. And I realized that I also have to really just physically take care of me, and I can't just expect that I'm gonna get better if I don't. I'm so used to exercising every year, of going to the EDC event, and since this year I didn't go, I didn't prioritize working out because I wasn't going to EDC, and which is wrong. And I think that really did not help with my ability to reduce my symptoms and behaviors with dealing with my depression. That's my experience in regards to that. If you guys start to see that your kid is panicking too, there's a possibility that they might be dealing with depression, because anxiety and depression correlates together. Because if you're anxious and you don't want to go outside, you're isolating yourself. And what is one of the things and symptoms that will cause depression is isolation. So that's why usually people get diagnosed with both, because anxiety causes isolation, in turn will then make you depressed because you're not around people and you're isolating yourself. So yes, a lot of the times where if you're diagnosed with persistent depressive disorder, you will be dealing with a lot of other symptoms like anxiety, and also too, you're more likely to use substance abuse if you have persistent depressive disorder, because you're trying to cope, you know. And I'm guilty of that too, where I try to use other things to help me cope, and it's not working. You gotta change it up. And sometimes certain coping skills that might have worked in the past may not work now, and that's okay, you guys gotta switch it up. All right, so I'm gonna talk about certain factors that could possibly trigger, or just symptoms and behaviors that correlate to that specific diagnosis. One of the things that I've noticed is learned behavior is one, obviously, that I constantly see working in the field. You know, a child or a teen will see their parent work their booty off, and they think that that's a way for you to live life. And some people can handle that, some people can't. And so, you know, it's important for the parent or the adult to recognize, okay, I'm doing this, but does this work for my child? Am I modeling these behaviors with my kid that's gonna work best for their journey? And if it is scaring them, explain to them, like, this is how I work, I'm okay. And if it's not, and if it really is doing something to you per se as a parent, and your ability to be a good parent or to model good behaviors, then yeah, it's important for you to kind of take a step back and say, how am I contributing my behaviors, and how is that going to affect my child? Because he's going to copy and see that this is the way I'm coping, so they're going to do the exact same thing. So I've seen that a lot within the field. So learned behavior is very common. It's interesting when I took this class, because in every section it does say that a possible theory as to why you might have high functioning depression is because it's learned behavior. You see it. You see how parents don't go get help, so you're not gonna go get help. Now I'm gonna talk about psychological theories of depression. In my handy dandy notebook, the first theory is called behavioral theories of depression. Suggests that life stress leads to depression because it reduces the positive reinforcers in a person's life. The person begins to withdraw, which results in further reduction in reinforcers, which leads to more withdrawal, creating self-perpetuating a chain. So yeah, it's like the more stuff that happens to you, the more you isolate yourself, the more you withdraw. So you're just constantly doing the same routine over and over and over. The other theory they have is learned helplessness theory, which suggests that the type of stressful events most likely to lead to depression is an uncomfortable negative event. Such events, especially if they are frequent or chronic, can lead people to believe that they are helpless to control important outcomes to their environment. So because stuff like that continuously happens, they assume and learn that that's how it's going to be all the time, which is very, it's sad. And a lot of us tend to do that. With that whole theory that I told you guys, with the learned behavior, we just kind of get used to that negative cycle and we think that that's all we deserve, which we don't. Another one is negative cognitive trait, which means you have a very negative view of yourself, the world, and the future, which then will cause you to be negative all the time. And what happens when you're negative? You're irritable, then you're just gonna be mad all the time. And then if you're mad, you're forcefully not creating your own dopamines and serotonin. So I can understand why that happens, as to why this theory is in here. And then the reformulated learned helplessness theory explains how cognitive factors might influence whether a person becomes helpless or depressed following a negative event. This theory focuses on people's casual contributions for events. A casual contribution is an explanation of why an event happened. According to this theory, people who habitually explain negative events by causes that are internal, stable, and global tend to blame themselves for these occurring situations. So when they see things, it kind of reminds me of empaths, because you know how you hear about that, like when people are super sensitive, like they kind of take in everything. Like when you see bad stuff, you internalize it. It makes you sad. You're just a feeler. You gotta be careful with that, because you'll internalize that stuff. Now, I am gonna explain to you guys why high functioning depression has so many names. And according to the Abnormal Psychology 6th edition book, this is what they said. They said that the DSM-5 combined the DSM-5 categories of dysthymic and chronic major depressive disorder because research failed to find a meaningful difference between these two conditions. Despite the DSM-5 notion that dysthymic disorder was less severe form of depression. In fact, individuals with persistent depressive disorder show a higher risk for comorbid disorders than those with major depressive disorders alone, particularly anxiety and substance use disorders, and they tend to experience worse functional consequences. That makes sense, because you're being functionable, but yet you're being careless. That makes so much sense. I think what I'll also add is right here, it says over 70% of people diagnosed with major depressive disorder or persistent depressive disorder also have another psychological disorder at some time of their lives. The most common disorder that are combined with occurred with depression or substance abuse, such as alcohol abuse, anxiety disorders such as panic disorder, and eating disorders. Sometimes the depression precedes and may cause the other disorder. In other cases, depression follows and may be consequences of other disorders. So I've already kind of do that, and I've already explained that in a sense of like, whenever you have depression, usually it will trigger anxiety, or if you have anxiety, it will trigger depression, because both kind of trigger each other in some way. So that's why they decided to do that. According to them, there was not really that much of a big difference. The only big difference is that persistent depressive disorder is you have to have it for about 2 years or more. Now I'm gonna jump in and we're gonna talk about the interventions and coping skills that I think are probably like my top 3 that I would say would work on almost anyone, depending on their personality, depending on their symptoms, depending on their behaviors. So the first one is meditation, mindfulness. It's my main top one. You guys have heard me talk about it, and I would love to make a step-by-step video as to why meditation is good. Like, I want to educate you guys about it, why it's good, studies, all that good stuff, and then actually teach you step-by-step as to how I implement it in my routine and how I practice meditation. And as well, I'm going to be giving you guys resources, apps, things like that. So it's going to be a very collective video that really just focuses on meditation. So that's the first one. The second one, intervention and coping skill that I would recommend, is this one that they have in this book. Specifically, it is called an automatic thoughts record, and it's used in cognitive behavioral therapy. Cognitive behavioral therapy is similar as to what I do with my clients one-on-one, because I'm an active role. So I kind of encourage them to do lists like this to kind of help them figure out why and when you feel depressed or sad, like what's and right here it gives you like a nice little, you know, a nice little example. And I'm gonna break this down to you guys, and of course, like I said, I'm gonna give you guys an example. I'm gonna implement it. I'm gonna probably do a record of mine and kind of show you guys mine so you guys can see. So if you guys want to do this, how to record that stuff. And if you guys decide to do this, I'm also going to be talking about affirmations. I want to combine that too, because I think tracking this and then on top of having affirmations would be really good combination for this type of intervention. And then the third one that I would recommend is exposure exercises. The way I practice with, the way I do it in the field, in the line of my experience, you know, I work with them one-on-one, I model for them, I do certain exercises, we go out in the community. So I'm going to be giving you guys examples as to how you can do that at home, and maybe you can show this video to someone so that maybe they can do this with you. Because in order for you to do this type of intervention, you have to have someone, because when I'm working with the person, I'm working with them one-on-one. So preferably, obviously, it would be great if you have someone extra to do this intervention. But if not, you can totally do it on your own. So exposure exercise, on an automatic thought record exercise, and also meditation exercise. Out of all the three, which one would you guys like me to do and really just dedicate a video on, so that you guys can see how you can implement it and how it works for depression and anxiety, and specifically for those two, I think. But yes, just let me know, please, you guys. Comment down below. And I'm also going to be doing polls on my Instagram, just in case, you know, you never know if someone doesn't watch this video. I'm going to be doing polls on my Instagram in case you guys don't want to type it. I encourage you guys to follow me on my Instagram, okay? So I think that's about it. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please comment down below. Let me know what you guys think about this video. Were you guys surprised about the information that I shared? Were you not surprised? Let me know down below. Have a conversation with me. And please do not forget to poke that like button if you really liked it, because it really does help with my engagement and so people can see my video. And if you disagree, it's alright, let's agree to disagree, okay? And of course, please do not forget to subscribe, you guys, if you guys are new to my channel, okay? And don't forget to turn on that notification bell so you guys know when my next video is gonna come out. And that's about it. So please, you guys, do not forget that it's super important for you to invest in your mental health. Why? Because life is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get, and you gotta be ready, all right? Like Forrest Gump said, all right? Quote unquote, that's what Forrest Gump said, okay? So I'm trying to figure out a different outro, you guys. Did you like that? Comment down below. Is that good? Should I stick with this? I don't know, because everybody says that I need a hook. Help me. Comment down below. My cousin was supposed to help me. Cousin, if you're watching this, comment down below. I'm trying to find a hook. I have a hook, but I haven't said it yet. I probably will say it in my next video and see if you guys like that one better. Alright, so I'll talk to you guys later, and yeah, bye-bye. Perpetuate, most likely to lead to breakdown. Okay. Alright, back it up. Type of stressful. Okay. I can't say my words right. The other word is okay. The other one is